It's 19 minutes to 9. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester. Good morning and welcome to Sunday. Now, you may have heard this week the Scouts have decided to keep mention of God in their promise, even though they now also offer what has been called an atheist alternative. So is their thinking better than the Guides, who just took God out altogether with a one-size-fits-all kind of a promise? Well, here are some local Beaver Scouts talking about the promise.
You put your right hand with your 3 fingers up and then you do your promise.
When I made my promise, I felt a bit nervous of saying it in front of other people. I felt happy and really good.
At Beavers, it means you promise to do your best at everything and to love God.
And never to give up.
You can't really go to Beavers if you don't believe in God. You can't.
It's quite churchy, that's why you got to love God.
The best bit is where you run and jump on the wall, though.
Yeah. And the best thing about Beavers is probably the camping.
Oh, they are too adorable, aren't they? Well, I tell you what, who's got the tough job of answering those sorts of views is James Hage, who is a Scout leader and a Queen Scout as well, and Stuart Wells, who is an Explorer Scout. James and Stuart, good morning.
Morning, Monica.
Thank you so much for coming in. James, we heard there the Beavers, they have very, very fixed ideas about what their promise was all about, and they reckon Beavers is all about God. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't actually. God is only a part of it, or religion is only a part of it, should I say, because religion is a choice that we all make. It's a thing that some people believe in and some people don't, and as part of an equality world, we wanted to open it up. Hence the alternative version of the new promise.
So who makes the decisions about what the Scout promise actually contains?
Well, for the last 10 months, there's been a consultation period going on where anyone in the movement could express their views. But after those 10 months, the final decision comes down to the Board of Trustees and those at the top who sit there and deliberate over all our views.
Stuart, interestingly, the Guides, as I said in my introduction, the Guides took God out altogether, but the Scouts decided to give people a choice. How important is choice, do you think?
Choice is a really important part of what we do, because when you're doing activities, we do all kinds of things, but it's a choice as to whether it happens or not. We're not in the game of forcing people to do things they're not keen to do, and giving this choice with the promise is a really nice way to do it, because it lets people who have faith still keep that faith in their scouting, and those who don't have faith still enjoy scouting without it.
It's very interesting. I know from my guiding days there were a number of guides who joined at the same time as me. We all did our promise at the same time, and there were some people who just said the words, didn't really think about what the words were, and there are other people that took it very seriously. So now there's a choice. I'm thinking, both of you, James and Stuart, that the people who join the Scouts now can thoughtfully take their promise and decide what they want to say.
Well, we've always had a choice. We've had choices for 50 years to do with religion. We've had a promise for Hindu, for Buddhist, for Muslim. So to open it up to a atheist point of view or a non-religious point of view just completes the equality. Isn't
that funny that you took into account all of those religions, and it's only now that you've thought, do you know, there actually might be people who are a bit uncomfortable about saying God?
Well, it's a very modern day view now. It's only in the last sort of 10 years that it's really, really become apparent that we need to open it up. And with a growing movement such as ourselves, with over 500,000 members, we might as well open it up a lot more so that we can help those young people come into the movement.
Just tell us what the difference is between the old promise and the new promise.
Well, the old promise is, on my honour, I promise to do my best, to do my duty to God and the Queen, to help other people and to keep the Scout law. And the new promise is, on my honour, I promise to do my best, that I will uphold the Scout values, to do my duty to the Queen, to help other people and to keep the Scout law. So the only fundamental is the do my duty to God bit.
Absolutely. You've taken out 4 words. Effectively 5 words, I can't count. But yeah, but basically you're you're kind of, the reason for being a scout is still there.
Oh yeah, all the fundamentals are still there. The law hasn't changed. We're still upholding the same scouting values across the board. So it's just those key words that have changed that might make people uncomfortable and allow everyone into the movement.
Brilliant stuff. Stuart, if you were doing your promise tomorrow, which one would you say?
I'd pick the new alternative promise, the atheist version, and I think it's really good that we have that choice now.
And do you think that the promise and its wording is something that Scouts would worry about?
I don't know. Personally, when all this came out, I started thinking about taking the promise in the past, and I don't remember doing it the first time as a cub when I was 8, because I was 8. And I vaguely remember doing it as a scout and explorer, but not worrying about the wording. I did it relatively recently, and when I did it then, I did think an awful lot about the wording and what it meant. And I felt that it's more, the other parts of the promise were more important to me, and personally the God part of the promise wasn't that important. But I know people who took the promise at the same time, who have very strong faith and felt that it was very important to pledge a duty to their God.
And the beavers that we heard at the very beginning, I mean, in a way you can forgive their youthful exuberance, but it's the same for them, I suppose, in time as they get older, and they become more aware of what they've promised to do. I suppose that choice will be more important to them. Yeah,
definitely. I think with the younger age groups, it's quite difficult. I was talking to some cubs. I'm a young leader with a cub group, so they're 8 to 11-year-olds. And one of them said that they thought it was a great idea because if people aren't sure, they can still get involved. And I think that's a very fair point, that for young people, it's not saying, yes, I'm religious, or no, I'm not religious. It's saying, I'm still making that decision, and that's a decision that, in some cases, the Scout Association can help with by teaching about religion. We've done trips to synagogues and to gurdwaras and churches, and we teach about different religions, but we don't say, this is what we think. We don't say, this is what you should think. We say, these are the options, and encourage a decision from that.
James, you've got to say, in a way, that's the way that Scouting has moved on, because Baden-Powell founded the Boy Scout movement, if not as a Christian movement, certainly one with a kind of Christian ethos and a background. But in Leicester, as you quite rightly say, we've got all sorts of faiths represented. So Scouting, it tries to offer something for everybody. Do you think it succeeds?
I think definitely, because the key word that you've already said is movement. We've moved on with the times. We've kept up with the times. We're, as I said before, we're growing. We've got to keep on moving, otherwise we'd just be dead in the water. And so by opening it up to more people, by modernising everything that we're doing, we're continually moving. And that's the best way we could be. It's the best place that we could be standing. So.
Absolutely. Are we healthy Scouts in Leicester? Have we got good numbers and things in Leicester and Leicestershire?
We've got very good numbers. We've got the largest numbers for 6 years in Leicester. We're approaching the 10,000 figure.
That's fantastic.
Hopefully we're going to break that very soon. But, now we've opened it up to more. Hopefully the gates should open and the flood should come.
Dead right. Is there, this is kind of going off-piste a little bit, if you like, but Stuart there telling us that he's a leader. Is it the leaders that you struggle to find, or is it the kids that you struggle to find?
The honest answer is we have waiting lists.
Excellent. Do you really?
Group. We have waiting lists with pretty much every group across the county. It's just the adults that we need to encourage that. We can always take more kids. We would love to take more kids, but without the adults, the movement wouldn't happen. So it is the adults as well that we need.
Is there a website we can look at? Because I would like to think there's somebody sitting at home now thinking, do you know what? I could do that.
You can get in touch through www.scouts.org.uk/join or www.leicestershirescouts.org.uk.
You are a man very good at his job. Thank you very much indeed, James and Stuart, for coming in to see us. Nice to see you both.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Don't look at me